Everyone wants happiness and success, and we know how to get you there. Come listen to the Leadership Society of Arizona as we teach a proven logic to help you simplify life, overcome challenges, and predict the future. You're listening to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We're your hosts. I'm Dr. Jake.
Dr. Jacob.
Always a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching on video or just tuning in. So in the last video that Dr. Jacob and I did together, we talked about really how do you figure out the best high school for a child coming from middle school, or how do you prepare for that? In this episode, we want to talk about preparing for life after high school. So for a lot of kids, that might be college. For some, that might be a trade school, work, vocational, anything. So for this episode, I want to start the conversation by asking, what are the most important things that a child needs to learn or accomplish in high school to prepare for the next step?
Wow, this might go in a very different way than most people would think, but
I'm guessing so.
I'll begin with the thing I always tell parents. The number one skill I found that will determine if a child will be successful beyond high school is, if something goes wrong in their life, is the first person they turn to their parents or adult figures that they've had in their life that they know will be with them, for a long ways out. The closer of a bond a student has with an adult that way, especially if it's their parents, it tells me that student will be very successful no matter what they do, no matter where they go. Because it tells me that that student has figured out and has found someone that they can utilize their expertise above their own. And whenever you have a child who is 17, 18, going out into the world on their own, if you have someone like that that knows how to utilize the expertise and experience of someone way older than them, and they have a very good relationship with them, and that person also knows who they are as an individual, they are way beyond their years. Most people go out 17, 18, and they do it on their own, or they're getting advice from their buddies who are also 17, 18, who have no experience going out into a world that there's a lot of things that could happen. And they're just using their own experiences. Very risky and very dangerous. And the fact that students can even survive in that is a miracle. But they can. So if they can do that, or if they have a strong relationship like that, and they've learned to utilize the expertise of someone older than them, that's one of the biggest things I say prepares a child to go out on their own and to go to college or anywhere else.
And I think the big question then, this does kind of go in a different direction, but if I'm a parent listening to this, I would want to know, how do you prepare that kind of thing?
Oh, this is very tough. Very few students, since this is a characteristic of success, and there are very few people who, really become, successful in life in terms of happy, producing a lot of value, not having to worry about, how they're going to get money, being able to live a happy, stable life. Very few people are able to do that in life.
Mm-hmm.
And so any characteristic that leads you there is going to be very hard to obtain.
Yeah.
But if a parent wants to do anything to help their child develop that, the best thing they can do is make it easier for the child to develop it, which is, as a parent, try to develop a good relationship with your child where they're not afraid to come to you if they make a mistake. They're not afraid to tell you things. In fact, they enjoy being around you and they want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And to do that is actually really hard on the parent, because it means you can't harp on them. You can't continually ground them. You can't take away their things. You can't, overreact to things, even though you see there's a lot of risk in what they're doing. And you really have to be very accepting of anything that child does.
Mm. That, I think, is the topic of another episode. That's a really good one.
It is, and everyone probably should go and listen to that one because that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I think we'll do that for our next episode. Is, how do you respond to, because I think a lot of parents, it is so hard to raise kids. It's really difficult now, especially if kids are doing undesirable behaviors. And I think that's where a lot of this gets in, is when these negative things come up, that's when the relationships are strained. Well, it's good. Without going too further into that topic, building that relationship, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, if you're listening to this podcast and you're a parent, you're already better off, because you're already trying so hard to become a better parent and a better mentor. And I think
Yes.
I would just assume that if you're listening to this, you're already doing great steps to improve your relationship with your child.
Now, Dr. Jake, there's one other thing that a parent can do to really prepare their student for college.
Mm-hmm.
And what that is do less and allow your child to live basically on their own while they're at home.
That's a good one.
A lot of times as parents, we become overly protective. We have high expectations, but at the same time, we're cleaning the child's room, we're doing their laundry. Basically, we're cooking for them, we're doing everything for them. And one of the things when a student or a child goes out to college or anywhere else on their own, they have to live on their own. They have to do things on their own for the first time. And the less a child has to worry about, can I even do this? And no, I know how to live. I just have to worry about, the differences in a college from a high school, different, class schedules, different things like that. The more a child already determines how they're going to spend their time, knows how to wash their clothes, cook for themselves, clean their rooms, wake themselves up, right? Knows how to set their own alarms, knows how to get to where they need to go, knows how to drive themselves places. The more a child can live on their own, but be at home where you as a parent can watch them and know what they're doing and how they're developing and give them advice, the better off that child is going to be when they leave.
Yeah, the independence.
The number one issue that a lot of students have is when they get to college, there's no one there to check how they're spending their time. They're smart enough to pass classes, but they're not smart, or they don't have enough self-control to actually study, go to class, instead of playing video games all day.
Yeah.
So the more a child can learn to regulate that on their own at home, the better off they're going to be when they go to college. Because usually the technical understanding, development, education is not the issue. Usually it's their self-control on, are they going to bed on time, or are they staying up all night long playing video games? They go to class, they're wasted, they can't stay up, right? And that's why they're failing.
Yeah. Now this brings up another point, because I think a lot of people think, okay, to prepare my kids for college or life after high school, they need to learn specific things or take specific classes in high school. Now, are you saying that, yeah, they can learn some good things to prepare for these academic skills, but it's even more important that they learn how to take control of their own education in high school without the parents monitoring?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, because look, realistically, if a child is well put together, has a good structure, like when I was going through college, I wasn't, first off, I took maybe 2 AP classes and I didn't get almost any credit for anything. So I maybe was able to skip basic algebra when I got to college, right? That's about it. But I finished my degree in 2.5 years. And how did I do that? Well, I was taking, at one point I took 27 credits in one semester.
Holy cow. That's crazy.
Right. And I'm not the smartest guy, right? Math is a struggle to me, and I had to take all the way up to differential equations, linear, algebra, things like that. So the only way I was able to do it was because I had such a strong routine. right? I always went to bed. I always woke up early. I'd always exercise every day. I ate right. I did the right things. So when I got to college, even though I didn't bring in all of these AP credits and whatnot,
Yeah.
I finished really quickly because I could just take tons of classes and it was no issue for me, even though I wasn't very smart. Right. And that's the thing is, you take a child who's coming in with a lot of credits but can't manage their time, doesn't sleep on time, is
You're
all
right.
messed up, right?
Yeah.
They're going to take a long time to finish that degree. They won't be able to take as many classes. They're not as organized, so they're going to like not do as well. But you take a person who just barely graduated from high school, but they have a very strong work ethic, very stable routine, and very stable life. They can do double the classes, do just as well, and be able to far advance, anyone who brought in any credits going to college.
And I think some might be concerned because a child who's given the freedom to take control of their own education in high school, they might not have the college application that's, competitive enough to go to like a really top university or Ivy League. But even if they might not be able to get into that top university, the skills that they've already learned in high school to manage themselves, to set the routine, it's actually going to put them ahead than most of their peers, even the ones at the Ivy League who haven't developed a lot of those skills.
Definitely. And here's what I always tell parents too. If your child is meant to go to an Ivy League university, you're going to know in middle school,
Yeah.
because that child will be far advanced in their understanding, their development than any other child in their technical development.
And they'll probably naturally take to all of these advanced courses and have a natural desire to do them, even without.
Yes, and they will be able to do them with very little studying.
Yeah.
So they will even if they're going to an advanced high school with a lot of AP credits, they will have a lot of time to develop, the stabilization skills of going to bed early. In fact, oftentimes it comes naturally to them anyways.
Yeah.
They'll naturally want to go to bed early. They will naturally want to wake up early. They'll naturally want to study more. They'll naturally want to do their own laundry, cook their own food, learn how to cook, because these students are gifted. These students who belong in the Ivy League universities that will really benefit from them, they will naturally have it in them to do all this.
So ironically, parents, one of the best ways to prepare your kids for life after high school is don't do a lot. Don't push them too much. Focus on the relationship and give them opportunities to develop adulting skills before they go.
Yes, that's it.
Well, parents, listeners, thanks for joining in. I hope that this gave you some good food for thought. We appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next time.